Hello, welcome back to Leicester Fan TV. This is the Fox's Focus Show where we'll be discussing the game against Manchester United at the weekend in the FA Cup. I mean, 2 weeks ago, we were saying how it was a torrid time and we're going to lose against Spurs. Then we felt on cloud 9 after beating Spurs, and then now we're back at rock bottom again. What were your thoughts, Simon, going back to the Everton game?
I think, evening, Jono. I think after the Spurs game, it was probably, if not the most complete performance, probably one of the most complete performances of the season. It actually felt like we deserved the win. You know, a lot of those kind of wins under Cooper were kind of smash and grab, kind of last minute, or kind of that Bournemouth game at home, for example, where we kind of took the lead in the first half and then just basically got battered all second half and got away with it. It was the first time you really kind of watched Leicester play and thought, yeah, we actually deserve 3 points this afternoon. And you went into the Everton game, you know, with a genuine sense of optimism that maybe Van Nistelrooy had actually, you know, found a formula and got the players to try to understand, you know, his philosophy and things were going to start to bed in a bit. But then the Everton game just completely pulled the rug from under everybody's feet, because it was, if not conversely, the worst, certainly one of the worst performances, not just of this season, that I've seen Leicester producing in a while. If I'm honest, there was not one shred of positivity really that you could take from that game. So you kind of go from one extreme a little bit to the other, and then you're then into an FA Cup week coming into this Man United game tomorrow night. And I don't know about you, but there's a bit of trepidation in my mind, a bit of fear that we're going to see the same sort of performance as we did at the weekend.
I mean, it's either going to be the same or better. You can't really get worse, can you? I think in the games we've lost in the season, you know, when we lost to Arsenal at the Emirates, we lost 4-2. But we thought, oh, you know, we had a really good second half. We came fighting back. And, you know, even though we lost, it was like, well, we fought hard. And I mean, to concede in 10 seconds, that is just an absolute piss take. The concentration is gone. Like, where was that focus? We're so focused all of the Spurs game. You know, everyone was in position, everyone was on it. And from the soon as everyone was like, oh, we're playing now. Oh no, it's 1-0 now. And then we didn't wake up for another 15 minutes, but by then the game was already done. We're 2-0 down and 3-0 down at the end of the first half, and that the game was lost. So I can't remember the word. When we're looking for capitulation, that's it. Capitulation, yeah. That's it. From being an outstanding, I thought we were really good against Spurs, to coming in the team opposite the week after, and you would have thought that after that win against Spurs, the board was going to go, right, let's get this season back on track. We've got a great win. Let's sign some players. But we've got one right back to replace Justin, but no one else. Once Vardy gets injured now, we've got Vestergaard and Fast, the slowest centre backs in the league, trying to, you know what I mean?
Jono, there's two things I'd say there. The first thing is that I managed to get time to watch Van Nistelrooy's press conference today, which leads up to the game tomorrow, when I got home from work earlier on, and he was asked about the signings in January, and he basically said that we had targets, and the goalposts on those targets moved during the window, so they went into the window with a plan. And then obviously whoever these clubs are that currently own these players, they then moved the goalposts on Leicester, which then made it impossible for the club to do the deals. So he seemed quite pragmatic about that and quite accepting of the situation. But the other side of that is, I suppose he's got no choice, because he's got to go into the rest of the season now with what he's got. I agree with you. I think we weakened our squad during this window. We let players go. The Tom Cannon one for me still stings, because if we're trying to protect ourselves potentially next season from from a championship fight, he would have been absolutely ideal to play up front in the championship, and to let him go for me didn't make a lot of sense, if I'm honest. And the centre back thing that you were just talking about as well. If you're going to, for me, if you're going to play Vestergaard at the back, and he has got passing ability, and he's obviously got height and physicality, and he has got some strengths. The one big Achilles heel of Yannick Vestergaard is his pace. He's got no pace. And if he gets in a foot race, he'll get beaten by virtually any other player on the pitch. So you have, in my opinion, to play a centre half next to him who has got some pace. And for me, that's Okoli. And I don't understand why we keep playing these combinations which leave us flat-footed in the middle. And you look at how simple those goals were that Everton scored last weekend.
It was schoolboy.
Yeah,
Sunday league stuff.
I completely agree. They were direct. They were simple. The balls they put through, whilst they were good balls, they split our defence in half, and it was almost at will. And that would be raising, if I was the manager of our football club, massive alarm bells for me. That it's so easy. It is so easy for a team like Everton, who aren't, they're not. Then we're not talking about we were playing one of the top four, to take us to bits. That for me is just screaming of problems.
It is screwing of problems, and against a team at Everton who haven't been scoring many goals at all this season. I think we scored more goals than Everton until that point, and then Everton just rinsed us. And what really gets me is I don't mind Chowdhury going on loan. I don't mind selling Tom Cannon, but what I do mind is you've brought Edouard in on loan, you've brought in Bordenotte on loan, you've bought a right back. Where are they? You're loaning and buying players to this football club who aren't starting. Why? It's just the decisions of, like, if you're going to buy a player, you try them for a while and they don't work. Fair enough. You give them a go. It's not worked. Then they're a bench player. We've not started Koulibaly once. He's come for 5 minutes as cameo against bloody Forest. Not Forest. Against Spurs in the last 5 minutes. Edwards has seen 30 minutes of game time all season. Like, why are we buying and loaning these players when we're not playing them? Okoli as well. Where's he? He looked really good I thought he looked really good at the beginning of the season. I don't know why he's been shunned.
Yeah, I mean, if, like I've already said, I won't repeat myself, but Okoli goes in next to Vestergaard for me. He's a little bit of pace at the back there that gives us some insurance. We're getting split in half way too easily. But on the loan side of things, my understanding of that is we're allowed 2 domestic loans, and we've got 2 domestic loans. And those 2 domestic loans, for example, Edouard, we cannot send him back to Crystal Palace without Crystal Palace agreeing to have him back, because that was the deal that we signed. So, he obviously he was signed with Cooper involved, you would assume, back in the summer. Yeah. Cooper then moves on after a short period of time. In that time, Edouard did absolutely nothing at all to demonstrate he had any value for the club. Along comes Ruud van Nistelrooy. He probably gave the likes of Edouard a clean slate. And it's also become apparent, Jono, that since then he clearly doesn't fancy him either. But the problem we've got is that unless Crystal Palace want to take him back and pay his wages, which is significant, I would suggest, and they're looking at him thinking, well, we're not going to play him, so we don't want to pay his wages. We'll leave him at Leicester. They can pay his wages, and he can sit in their squad and do nothing. And that's the situation we've left ourselves in, which means that to go and get more loans in this window was impossible unless we could get rid of some of them. Now, with the Buonanotte side of it, that one for me is really, really odd. I don't know how you feel about him, but for me, certainly under the
players, players.
Exactly. Under Cooper, he was probably our best attacking player. Now, El Khanous has obviously become and grown more as the season's gone on into something that is kind of Buonanotte-esque in its nature. However, for that guy for that kid to get kind of frozen out at the minute the way he has by Ruud van Nistelrooy is a complete mystery to me. I just don't get that at all.
I don't get it. In this system, he's obviously got a left, someone on the left, someone on the right, a cam, and a striker. Maybe he's thinking he needs Ayew on the one side, he needs Reed on the other, El Khanous as the forward, and Vardy as a striker. Now, that's fine, but Reed and Ayew have only had, I think, 1 or 2 good games all season. they haven't been poor, but they haven't been outstanding. They haven't created anything. Bornete has created lots of different chances. He's scored a few good goals. So I would risk playing out of position and having him on the pitch, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean, that IU stroke Cordova-Reid thing worked at Spurs, didn't it? And I think because of that, maybe they got a little bit of a new lease of life with some of the fans in terms of actually that worked really well, and it looked like something that could actually do a job. Conversely, you get into the Everton game and it looks completely devoid of anything again. You know, we just think, Christ, you know, we're kind of back to the drawing board again. And I picked up a little bit of some stuff that Cordova-Reid did with the BBC this week in terms of he'd spoke to East Midlands Today News, and he'd done a bit for Radio Leicester, and he was alluding to the club or the players of the squad still trying to find themselves. You know,
It can't be an excuse. It can't be an excuse now.
No,
it can't be.
I agree, because you know we're past halfway in the season here. You know, it's not like we've reinvented our squad in that time. We've still got the same players. In fact, we've got less players than we had before. So, you know, for me, that doesn't wash. You know, saying, "Oh, we're still trying to figure it out," right now for me does not wash at all. You know, Van Nistelrooy has had enough games now to have made sense of it, and that doesn't work for me. So yeah, I agree with you. You know, Buonanotte for me plays, and I hope that tomorrow with the FA Cup, because he might change a few things tomorrow. Buonanotte is one of those, and he demonstrates to Van Nistelrooy tomorrow that he's absolutely worthy of a starting place in the league.
This is right. So let's move on to the Everton game. But please, everyone, please like the show, share it, follow us on all the platforms below. There's a few comments earlier in the show. Jamie put one saying, "Oh, playing the youngsters tomorrow night." Another one put, this guy put, "I think Ruud has loosened up now after the transfer window has closed." I don't know if he's loosened up, but I think what those two comments to me could suggest is Ruud's thinking, right, we've brought no one in. What he did very well at PSV was using his youngsters. Could we see now him going, right, what I'm doing now isn't working. The players right now aren't producing anything. Could the youngsters against United come into play? I want to see Daka. I want to see I want to see Nelson. I want to see Koulibaly. I want to see a full rotated team. And I don't care if we lose, because this is the chance to experiment. What's work in the Premier League is not working. Experiment with different players, different tactics in this game, because we're not going to win the FA Cup. To experiment, play the youngsters as well, and see what options he has. Because I can't see another option. We could go full strength, a normal Premier League full strength team, not work and fail, or play experiment team, see what works, what doesn't work, lose, and go. But that's an idea I can bring into the team going forwards. That's my thought process. So I do agree with Jamie here. Play the youngsters. I want to play the youngsters. Play Daka. Play these players who haven't played yet, and prove to Ruud, hang on, I'm here. I want to be a part of the team to improve it.
I mean, a few bits in there. I mean, whilst I agree with you, you know, we just sent Will Alves, who to me is probably our best, most talented young player. We just sent him on loan to Cardiff. So, you know, we can't play him because he's not at the club. My understanding of the Ben Nelson situation, and for me, certainly, you know, in the last 18 months, Ben Nelson's probably also one of the most talented young lads at our club. You know, as a centre-back, showed a lot of maturity for his age when he got the chance in recent times. Was sent on loan to Oxford, got injured, was sent back to the club, our club, because he was injured. My understanding of that is that his rehab is pretty much complete, but the terms of his loan means he has to go back to Oxford for the rest of the season. So
I forgot he was injured. Yeah, sorry, I forgot he was
injured.
So
I don't think you'll be seeing him in a Leicester shirt until next season. And you know, I think for me, absolutely, he'll be a contender for the first team next season.
Well, to be honest, I think we'll have no choice, because this may sound bad, but I think going down to the Championship is a very good chance for us to start and reset. accept the points deduction, because if we do go down, we're going to get one. We're going to get a points deduction. We'll get a transfer embargo. It'll get rid. But what we're going down could do is it could get us getting rid of Vestergaard, Fass, Edward, all these players who have been useless. For Ward, get rid of him. I think it'll be a good chance for us to just start and reset, because I can't see us getting rid of the Deadwood. And what we've done is we've given players such a healthy contract that players don't want to leave, and they were happy to be a bench warmer and do nothing.
Agreed. Let's just. Do you mind if I just put Scott's comment up there? Are you both under the impression we are going down? Scott, no, I'm not under the impression we are going down, from my point of view. But I'm a realist, and I have to accept that that's a probable, possible outcome of this season. And the way the wind has gone this season, it's not helping the way the January wind has gone. And you have to accept that the club our club should be, if they, in my opinion, if they're doing their job right, should be starting to think about that and prepare for that in case it happens, rather than sleepwalk into it like we did 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because we absolutely sleepwalked into it, and the club kept saying, and the players kept saying, "Oh, if we keep playing like this, we'll be fine." Well, you weren't, were you?
No.
And we have to think of all outcomes as a club to make sure that if we do go down, it's not a long stay in the Championship, which I fear, the way that things are going at the minute, it could be.
I do. I'm not under the impression. I think what's more frustrating to me is, unlike Southampton, they haven't got the players to stay up. They haven't invested. We kind of had a half Premier League team anyway when we went down. We still had Albrighton, we still had Fass, we still had Hermanson. I think we had a decent Vardy. We had a decent team anyway, which could play in the Premier League, and here we are. But what's frustrating is we've got the players now to actually stay up. I think if our team is used well, I think we're better. If our teams play correctly, we're not the third. There's 3 worse teams than us. It's just the club is run so badly is that we're looking at one of the worst teams in the Premier League, apart from Southampton. That's what's frustrating to me. Is I know we can be better. We've proved it. We've proved we can be better. We've proved that we can play. A Man City, we gave them a very good game. I know they've been poor, but it's Man City, isn't it? We gave them a very good game. We should have beaten Palace. We played well against Arsenal, scared them to death to having a draw. You know what I mean? So we can play well. It's just not consistent.
Yeah, we can play well, but we can't play well and very rarely put 90 minutes on a pitch. And that's been the enigma all season. And you kind of hope when Van Nistelrooy took over that he managed to get rid of that kind of infectious illness within our team. But we just seem to have reverted. That game against Everton at the weekend reminded me. It was very reminiscent of the league game away at Man United towards the end of Cooper's tenure. There was not one piece of chink of light in it anywhere you could find and go, well, actually, we did that well, or we did that well. There was just nothing. There was nothing at all, and that's what scares me. Is that there are no shoots in there, and you would have thought on the back of that Spurs win they would have gone into that, full of confidence to at least go and give a good account of themselves.
Like Andy said here, you don't get 3 points for playing well. I agree. If you play well, it's not like you get a free point for playing well. But that's the frustrating thing. We can play well, but why can't we do it for full 90 minutes? I don't mind if we lose, if we play well for full 90 minutes. If we go down, we gave a very good go. We played well, but we just weren't, we didn't have the capability with the players. But we're playing poor, like, for a majority of the time. And when we do play well, I'm thinking, where's that been? But it's not often enough. And that is our problem. So going into tomorrow's game, I think we're the first game being played in the FA Cup this round, aren't we? Going into this FA Cup weekend, and with the first game, obviously it's televised because Rue's got his history with the club, and he managed them for a few games earlier on in the season. Ironically, he beat us. Ironically, we got smashed by his team
twice.
Twice.
Twice. He beat of his 4 games, 2 was beating us.
Yeah.
You know, I would suggest that's part of the reason why he got the job at our club, but that's a side issue.
What do you think could? What do you think the Rude should do going into this game? Would you go off my philosophy of going rotation players, go youngsters to try new tactics and see if players work, or play our regular starting lineup and see if we have a chance?
He put almost a full first team strength squad, a team out against QPR in the last round, which surprised me. You know, because right now, you know, I think most of us would give our right, left foot, leg, arm, whatever to stay in the Premier League. You know, so the cup's a bit of a sideshow that's really not important to Leicester City this season at all. You know, so I was a bit surprised that he put such a strong team out in the third round. And then, of course, you know, we get the jackpot and we draw Man United away in the next round. And you think, right, well, why did we put all that effort into beating QPR just to end up with that? But, you know, for me, I agree with you. I mean, he has got 2 kids. I don't know if you've seen that or not.
I have seen it. Yeah,
He's got Monger and Evans, who are 2 out of the youth setup in the squad, and has already said they'll be on the bench tomorrow. So he's already kind of tipping a bit of a hat to the fact he's going to have a little bit of a different team tomorrow. Yeah, I would change it up, and I would play the likes of Kubiali and Akoli and Buonanotte and all of these that haven't really featured too much so far under Van Nistelrooy. You would hope that he would chuck them in and say, right, here's a chance for you to demonstrate to me that you're better than what I'm currently playing in the league. And if you can do that on Friday night, then you're in contention for selection next week against Arsenal.
Absolutely.
And I would hope that that's what he'd do. I would imagine he'll probably end up with a bit of a hybrid team of some of the more familiar faces and maybe a few different ones. Maybe Rest Vardy and
Rest Vardy, Rest El Khanous, Rest Hermanson. Those are the 3 I'll keep out. I'll rest Samari, I'll rest Ndidi, I'll rest Winks. Play Skip, give him a chance. You know, Ruiz saying, you know what? Yeah, I'm not featured you because I thought you'd been poor. Prove me wrong. I'll put you out there again. Prove me wrong. If he doesn't go with that, I should be quite. If I see our first team Premier League team out there, I'll be disappointed, because I'm thinking we're not going to win the FA Cup. We can't win the FA Cup. The league is such a bigger priority. This is your chance to experiment and use different players to see if they can go. I'm here, boss. I'm here. I want. You know, I want. We've got no signings. So let's try and make our own signings. Look at Arsenal. They've got Wanyeri, who's off when they're youth and come in. Lewis Kelly as well. Lewis Kelly. And those 2 players, they're youngsters. They're unreal. You know, they didn't sign any players in the window, but they've just come into Arsenal and they've changed their team. But so why can't we do this? I'm not saying they'll be the same caliber as them. They probably won't be, but give them a chance. If we can't sign players, kind of see if we've got any. And this guy put, why play Skip if he's rubbish? Well, I think he's great, but again, Soumare we all thought Soumare was rubbish, and he's had a great season.
Yeah, I think with Soumare it was more attitude than ability. He didn't look like he cared, especially in the early 18 months at the club. I don't think it helped Soumare that after we got relegated, he disappeared on loan for a season and he didn't play in the Championship and fight for promotion. Yeah. I don't think that endeared him to our fans, that he kind of, you know, went off and played top flight football somewhere else. And Leicester have been promoted, but now I'll come back and play for you again. You know, it's a bit, really. But with Skip, when the first few games, I don't know about you, Jono, I thought he was quite good. In fact,
I thought it was good.
I was arguing with some of my friends that actually there was an argument to play him instead of Winks. You know, he was really demonstrating that he had some ability. But as the season's gone on, he just seems to have deteriorated. You know, to the point now when he comes on off the bench, which he does quite often, he comes on for the last 20 minutes for Winks or whatever. He doesn't do anything. He's anonymous, and he looks like he's kind of wilted under the stress and the pressure of it all. You know, I might be wrong, but that's how it feels.
But is that because the game's already dead by then. I can't see him in time. We're losing so many games. Maybe he looks dead because the game's already lost. Maybe, but it is a hard one. But again, who signing was that? Well, it wasn't Roos signing, so it was maybe Ruud doesn't like his style of football compared to what Steve Cooper, because Steve Cooper was a defensive manager, Skip's a defensive player, so that's what doesn't fit into the system. But well, someone put Skip's morale has been shattered, and I think every player's morale has been shattered because Buonannote's morale has been shattered because he's thinking, right, I'm playing well every week, I'm scoring goals, now I'm benched. You know what I mean? It's just mad. But I'm not going into tomorrow optimistic about a result. I want to be optimistic about the team selection. I want to see some shocks. I want to see some shock players. I want to see some younger players. I want to see some bench players in giving them a run out.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I'm not really bothered about the result. It's not important to our season what we do in the FA Cup. What I want to see is a performance. I want to see some players come in and demonstrate to us as fans that they care, that they're passionate, that they and deliver a performance. I think if we can get that from tomorrow night and then take that into the Arsenal game next weekend, then that gives us something to build on.
Absolutely. And Daniel said, why the club say nothing? The fans know what's going on. Well, there are rumors going on around this one's going to happen at the game against Arsenal. I'm not going to say what and what's happening because I don't want to influence it. But the club, when Top came out and said he's cleared the debt or given bigger shares to the other third parties for the club, that shows to me that he cares about the club and he doesn't want us to go into debt. What I think what's wrong with the club is he's given too much responsibility to Rookie. Because I think when Vichai was here, he was like, I want the club to run like this. You just do my work for me. But Top's gone, here's my club, you run it. And this is what happens if... Now, I think if he does... Brendan Rodgers alluded to that Rookie was running the club badly. But we're thinking, nah, it's just you're just stubborn, Brendan, go away. Enzo then said that he wanted to bring in his own staff because he felt the way the football club was run wasn't the best. So that's when alarm bell started to ring. And now look at it. It's now big and, big shining light has gone on the club now saying, hang on a minute, we're actually being ran really badly. Did you see we're charging people £30 for parking and they got a mannequin dressed up as a steward inside the box? You seen that?
I didn't, but it doesn't surprise me. I think you're absolutely right. I think you just hit the nail on the head. I think when Vichai was running the club, he ran the club, and they did, and the staff that were in the positions did what Vichai told them. I think since that tragic event that night, I think with Top, he's let the board run the club in his absence, and I think he's had to maybe rely on them a little bit more than his dad did, and I think that's where the change comes in for me. I'm not blaming Top for that. I'm sure he's done the best he can, for the club and for all of us. But I think that's the change, and that's the change that maybe means that we're sat here saying the things we are this evening.
Phil, who runs the Monday night show, said we need to put a positive spin on it, and we both said, look, we could try to be positive, but in this world, in this situation, it's hard to be positive. But I thought, hang on a minute, Newcastle got into the final of the Carabao Cup last night. So I'm thinking, what are yes, we're going for a torrid time, but I'm looking at other teams like Newcastle's last trophy 69 years ago. Everton's was 29 years ago. Bournemouth's was in 1984. Brighton's was 13 years ago. Ipswich's was 44 years ago. Nottingham Forest's was 34 years ago. Southampton's was 48 years ago. We won a trophy 3 years ago. Now, we have been a very successful club, and I'm very honoured to be alive to see my club win a trophy, because a lot of people don't get to see their club win anything. So yes, we're going through a really horrible time with our club, and it feels a bit embarrassing to what's happening to our club. But I'm still going to be proud and very honoured to be here when we've won major silverware, and I think that's a positive we can take away, saying that even though we're going through a tough time, I think we should still support the club. I think we should still cheer the boys on, and the fact that we've witnessed, the absolute tip top of UK of football. You know what I mean?
Listen, I agree with you. We've been absolutely spoilt as Leicester fans the last 10 years. Let's be honest. The things that we've done and we've achieved, none of us could have ever imagined would ever see. But you have to caveat that with the last 3 years could have been so much better, in my opinion, had things been managed in a slightly different way. And I think we've kind of been masters of our own downfall in lots of ways. And let's not forget, we're in the Premier League this season. We're not talking about Leicester City being in League One or something. So it's not, but it's difficult as fans when you can see it could be so much more than it is.
Yeah.
And the decisions that are made, you just kind of put your head in your hands and think, what are you doing? And it's that bit of it that just gets under your skin for me.
It's like, if you look at Ipswich, they're here, their fans are going. It's a free season, because they go down, they're thinking, well, we've got a League One team, we'll just enjoy this season. But Leicester, we were an established Premier League team, mid-table, top 5 finishers, and fifth and eighth. I'll do anything to finish eighth again. Anything to finish eighth again. But yeah, like, look at Aston Villa. They've built their team, Champions League team. Teams are coming in for their players. Ollie Watkins to Arsenal. Duran's gone to Saudi Arabia. They've gone, okay, let's get Rashford on loan. Let's get Marco Asensio in. You know what I mean? That's what we should have been. That's what we should have been doing. Why weren't we doing that?
Good question. I think you need to speak to someone at the club who's a lot more important than me to get an answer to that. It's wrapped up in PSR and all sorts of things that are legacies of bad decisions that have been made at the club over the last 3 or 4 seasons that have left us with very highly paid, wealthy players that just are not delivering on the pitch for our club. And no one wants them because of that. And that means that our wage bill is full, our squad is full, and there's very little latitude then to do any business. And that's the problem.
That is the problem. But I am being hopeful that we can rescue this season. I just think if it doesn't get fixed, I mean, our next fixtures are then they're not easy fixes coming up. I just hope we find a solution very quickly. But I think we'll end it there, because well, what's your score predictions for tomorrow? Let's do score predictions.
Do you know what, John? As I said earlier, as long as we don't get absolutely thrashed, I don't mind. I want to see a performance. I don't think we'll win. If I'm honest, I think we'll play a different team, maybe a bit experimental, which I'm quite positive about. If I'm honest, it gives us opportunities to look at some players that haven't really had a lot of chances lately. But I will take a respectable 2-1 defeat to get to see some of these players and get some performance and try and have something to build on to go into next weekend when it really matters against Arsenal.
I agree with that. I like Scott says he's optimistic, saying 2-1 into Leicester. I'm not that optimistic. I think I don't mind losing 2-1 or 3-1, maybe 4-2, if we see a proper performance and some different players coming in. I don't want to see Vardy. I don't want to see El Kanous. I don't want to see, Sumare. I want to see different players, because I want to see different players given opportunity to say to Ruud, look, I want to play against Arsenal, or I want to be a feature in the Premier League. This is his chance to an only chance left to experiment. Take this opportunity to do it. If I see that and I see a good performance, then I'll be happy, even if we do lose.
I'm with you. I mean, just remember the Great Escape, Jono, going back to those wonderful Nigel Pearson years that I think we all loved there was a togetherness, wasn't there, during that time? The fans were on board. The players felt very attached to the fans. It was close knit. Pearson kind of built that synergy of everyone fighting for the same cause. Somehow, and I'm not sure how the hell we do it, we've got to find that again and find it quickly for the rest of the season. We all need to get on the same page and somehow scrape enough points to get us out of that bottom three and stay there.
That's the thing. It's not like we're Southampton. We're 11 points or 12 points off safety. We're 1 point from safety. 1 point. It's not like we can't have Mount Everest. It's doable, and we've got the players to do it. We've just got to get that mentality back. But cheers, Simon, for joining me. It's been really, really appreciated. But
Thanks, Jono.
We'll be back on Sunday for the. We might do a show on Saturday. I'm not sure, but we'll definitely do a show on Sunday with Jamie for the Famous Aftermath show, and Monday for Phil's show. But thank you all very much for joining us, and we shall see you soon.